you're a plasterer, you probably spend your evenings doing quotes. You finished a full day on site, you're knackered, and now you've got to work out the square meterage, material cost, labour, VAT, waste. Write it up, send it off, and hope you have an end charged. I've set up an example AI system that does all of that in about 2 minutes, and the setup took me about half an hour to make. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. This is a feature in Claude called Co-work. You point it at a folder on your computer and it can read everything in that folder. So let's say, for example, in that folder you had your rates, your material prices, your previous quotes, all of that. Then you can just tell it what you need. Quote me for skimming a 3-bed semi-detached. And it pulls your actual numbers, your actual rates, and builds a proper quote. No formulas, no spreadsheets, no copying and pasting from old quotes and hoping you remembered to update the prices. So I built a demo of this, which we're going to go through. This is for a fictional plasterer called M. Perry Plastering, Midlands-based, typical jobs, real supplier prices. Let me show you what's in the folder. So in here, you can see I've got 5 folders. That's the entire setup. We've got the materials for supplier price lists. We've got Wix, Screwfix, Toolstation, Travis Perkins. So we've got all those prices in there. We then have the rates folder. In the rates folder, we've got £200 a day, overhead covering VAT, delivery charges, waste factors, skip hire, coverage rates, how many square meters you get per bag of plaster or per roll of skim tape, the actual maths that goes into a quote. We've got a properties folder, so I've got 3 example properties in here. 2-bed flat in Coventry, a 3-bed semi in Solihull with realistic issues like blown plaster, Artex ceilings, wood chip, and a 4-bed new build in Sutton Coldfield. So I've pulled the dimensions from Rightmove and EPC data, and there's a guide in here showing how to do that. And then the last one we've got is previous quotes, 5 branded quotes from M. Perry Plastering. So different job types, different price points, £320 up to over £3,000. It just gives Claude a template for how this business formats its quotes, the tone, the layout, level of detail, etc., etc. And then the last one I've got here is a templates folder. So this just got a quote template, the right header, branding, all sorts of things like that. So that's the whole thing. That's the setup. So there's 5 folders, 17 files. Took me about 30 minutes to put together, but I appreciate this is a demo. So now let me show you what happens when we actually use it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is a simple quote. This is property B, which is the 3-bed semi in Solihull, the one with the blown plaster and Artex. Prompt is to generate a quote for that. So what you'll see is doing is reading the room dimensions from the property file, calculating the wall, ceiling area, looking at the plaster coverage rates, looking at how many bags, checking material prices, and then it's going to start to add the labour for how many days it thinks it's going to take. And then also it will factor in the waste. We'll let this run and I'll come back to you in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back. That's finished doing what it needs to do. So let's talk through what we've got here. We have a progress in the top right-hand corner. So this talks about all of the steps that Claude went through to do this piece of work. So it calculated the materials, labour and cost of the lounge skim, found the cheapest supplier for each material, built the quote document using docx.js, so essentially built the Word document out, and then validated it was all there. So it first looked at the workspace to understand the project structure, got the rates, looked at the templates for a style reference, and then started to build the quote. So it's looked at lounge B, it's got the size of the lounge, what the net of the walls and the ceiling is with the total, the fact that it has a chimney breast with no plaster. It knows about the other 3 walls and the ceiling. So it's found all these details about the property. And then it's looked at the materials. So we need 6 multi-finish bags, 25 kilograms, 4 bonding coats, 1 PVA, 1 scrim tape, 3 galv angled bead. I'm not a plasterer, I don't know what that is, but I'll assume that's right. And then comes out with the subtotal, adds on the labour. So the quote's generated, we'll take a look at that in a second. This took, like I say, about 2 minutes to complete. So it's got the materials. So the total including VAT is 660, and that's with 15% waste applied rather than 10% due to the chimney breast, alcoves, and hack-off work. So we can view the quote in Claude Code. Don't know where the dog's going. View it in Claude Code, and we can see here that it's just put this together as a quote, ready to go, with all the rim dimensions, the materials, the labour, and all the summaries ready to go. Okay, the next thing we can demonstrate is comparing supplier prices. So if we just say, we'll compare the material cost between Screwfix and Wix for a 3-bed skim. So again, we're just going to send this off. It's going to look at the folders in the background, which is the area it can work. And that quote that we just did actually is saved as a Word document within that folder. So you can go and grab that, you can edit it, you can make updates, you can do whatever you want. So even if you wanted this to do a first pass for you, you can then go in, make any changes and amendments you need to, but it's saving you a whole bunch of time on quoting. So what this is going to do, this one now is going to go back and look at all the Excel spreadsheets of the various prices on various suppliers. So rather than you going onto different tabs in a browser and trying to find out who does what at what price and where's the best place to get it from, you can see this come back while we're talking. So using the property B as the reference, so it's saying here that, for example, 35 of the multi-finish 25 kilograms, the total at Screwfix, the total at Wix, don't know why I'm dragging that around there, total at Wix, and it's done that for the full kind of set. And then it comes up at the bottom and says, if you buy this Wix, you're going to save £48.71 on the full house skim. But it's worth flagging at the bottom here, even though we've compared these two. So in the prompt, we said compare between Screwfix and Wix. But the AI has said it's worth flagging that both of these are still more expensive than Toolstation, which comes in at £131.45. So that beats Wix by another 50 to £60 on a whole house job. Right, this next one I'm going to do is about a situation where the customer calls and says they want their downstairs skimmed. You've asked for the address. Rather than going around to measure up, is there another way of getting the room dimensions? So can we use Rightmove as an example to get the room dimensions from the floor plan, paste them in, and then set this running? So the one I'm going to paste in here is the customer's Rightmove listing shows that the living room is 5.2 by 3.8, kitchen's 4.1 by 3, generate a skim quote. So again, that's going to run off in the same way that the first one did, but this is rather than looking at a predefined property that we've got in the folder, this is just looking for more of a general quote. So this is something you can use as well. You don't have to create that property file every time you want to do this, because you can just do this by a few dimensions. For example, you could still be on the phone to the customer while you have this running in the background. So you can get this information up front, set this running, carry on with your conversation with the customer, and then by the time you get to the end of the call, you've already got an idea of what the price is going to be. And that's an estimation, of course, not an actual quote, because you want to check these things. But it's a good starting point to have. I'll come back to you in a second. So here we go. This is finished now. So what it's managed to do is pull out again the dimensions and what the combined is, the materials, waste at 10%, 2 days labour, and then the total including VAT. So 3 things that the AI has called out on this one. So the fact that the Rightmove dimensions are approximate, so it's added some assumptions, making clear these need to be confirmed on site. 10% waste, not 15. Standard rectangular rooms assume that there's no chimney breast or alcove. So if we view this quote, you'll see where that is the placeholders. And again, just as the last example, the quote's there, ready to be reviewed, ready to be updated. There's some assumptions in there, some terms and conditions, which you can predefine, so you can preload in your own template, of course. But it just shows how that works and how it can be used. And this is a small section of what these kind of tools are capable of. So use plastering in this example because it's quite a clean example. The maths is straightforward: square meterage, coverage rates, material cost, labour. But it'll work for any trade. If you're an electrician, your folder could have cable prices, labour rates for first fix, second fix, test certificate templates. If you're a plumber, it could be boiler costs, pipe fitting, call-out rates. Builders, landscapers, decorators, same principle. So you take the knowledge that's already in your head and you put it into a folder. Then you let AI do the arithmetic and the formatting. Still setting the rates, you're still deciding what to charge. The AI is just doing the bit you hate, doing the 9 o'clock at night quoting rubbish. So Claude Cowork, it's not available on their free plan. You have to pay for the £16 a month plan. The setup for this took me about 30 minutes. Now every quote takes about 2 minutes. If you want to try it yourself, I wrote a guide on my website. It walks through what Cowork is, how to set it up, and what it's actually good at. And if you're a tradesperson and want help setting up a folder like this for your specific trade, drop me a message. I can point you in the right direction. I'll see you in the next one.